Good day, friends. Welcome to Our Power is Within. I'm your host, Chaz Smith, aka Just Chaz, and I am on a mission to inspire people to take their power back and help people to realize that every one of us has a healer within our own self. When we can create an environment that supports healing and get out of our own way, we are truly capable of healing in mind, body, and soul. Whether you have been following along this whole time or if this is your first episode, thanks for being on this journey with me. I appreciate you. And if you do feel called to help me spread this message of empowerment, healing, and possibility, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast or a 5-star rating if and only if I've earned it. Or best yet, share your favorite episode on social media or with a friend. So, how did your creative project go last week for last week's challenge? I would love to see what came from that experience, if you made something or hear about what happened through the process. I took myself up on the challenge, and to get crafty last week, I made this really cute little wooden sign for our wall in our new home, and it has these little hooks for me to throw my ball cap, keys, and umbrella on. And I painted it with this chalk paint, and then I did a light sanding, and I gave it a distressed look, and I painted beach home on it with a little starfish, and it is so cute and adorable, and it's just hanging on my wall by the front door. Maybe I will post a picture. So this week and the next several weeks, we're actually going to shift things up a little bit. I wrote my third blog in a 4-part blog series for rewiringyourwellness.com the other day, and it was a self-love language challenge blog. And in it, I highlighted many examples of how we could practice loving ourselves more with a focus on each of the 5 love languages coming from the book by Gary Chapman. I decided that each week we could focus on one of these languages and then spend the week practicing loving ourselves in that way more. And so we're going to make the podcast weekly challenge align with this. And with that said, this week's challenge is words of affirmation. Simply put, throughout the week, I challenge you to think of simple ways that you can talk kindly to yourself. Feed yourself with compliments. And I don't mean that you have to say 100 times a day, like a mantra or an affirmation like, I am healed, I am healed, I am healed. I mean, be really genuine. Look in the mirror in the morning and find something that you love about yourself and tell yourself out loud. Find the things you love instead of noticing the things you don't like, right? And remind yourself every day how awesome you are and how beautiful you are, and tell yourself how great your butt looks in those shorts, or your arms look today, or how beautiful that dress is on you, or how green your eyes are shining. I'm going to go ahead and guess that most of us could afford to speak more kindly to ourselves more often. So I encourage you to have fun with this and just see what happens. As a quick announcement, I have been running a weekly movement class called Dose of Movement now for about 7 months, free on Fridays via Zoom. And I'm adding to this schedule slowly. We'll begin to add new classes on different days, various times, and hopefully even various levels. The new classes will be a low cost of $5 to $8 per class, and I really hope you can join. If you've been on your healing journey, recovering from chronic pain or illness, and you want to regain a positive relationship with your body and tap into your innate strength and resilience while also realizing how incredibly fun movement and exercise can be, this is a great place to start. You can move, laugh, and smile with us while also receiving all the benefits of the movements that we do. There will be details and links in the show notes. All right, with that, on to today's episode. We have a wonderful guest. Her name is Laura Ciampa. Laura is a heart math coach and trainer who also has a master's degree in education with 20 years in the education system. She has bridged her gap between her education background and her passion for the heart math system to create this really beautiful system for parents and children as well as individuals. She is helping parents learn how to support children along their journeys, learning emotional regulation at a young age so that they have the tools to use throughout their life. I honestly think what she's doing is incredibly amazing. And today we learn so much about heart math for parents, for children, as well as heart coherences and what that means for us as adults and how it can support us through our daily life. Laura is a beautiful soul, and I wanted to point out that um, the thing I love so much that she talks about is how she actually refers to all emotions as either renewing or depleting. We often get into this pattern of labeling things in life, especially emotions, and we start to attach a label like good or bad feelings. But in truth, there are no good or bad feelings or emotions. They all serve a purpose in this human experience, and they're all inevitable. Yes, say some do deplete us and some do renew us. So, what we learned today is simple tools on how, as we navigate this human experience through all spectrums of emotions, can we learn to self regulate them. Listen until the end, where Laura will actually guide us through a quick coherence technique as well. And with that said, let's go ahead and welcome Laura to the show. All right, Laura, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here today with me and everyone listening.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that when we connected, I got really excited that you have a background with heart math, because that's something that's becoming more popular in the healing realm. And I think it's a beautiful set of tools that can be used for people. And I'm really excited to get to share some of that wisdom that you have pertaining to the heart math and heart coherence with everyone listening, as well as the background you have with actually working with parents and children and helping children in this realm. So yeah, this is going to be a good one.
For sure.
I think to get started, I would love to just have you do a little brief background on kind of just who you are and what you're up to. And I know you have a coaching business as a heart math coach and trainer. Like I already said, you specialize working with children and parents, but maybe you could share a little bit about what drove you into doing this sort of work and the shift into this career from teaching in an elementary school for, I think you said 2 decades?
Yeah. Hard to believe.
Yeah. So it's a big shift. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about what got you to shift into this direction and pivot in your career and what you're doing.
Okay. Sounds good. So, ever since I was a little kid, I've always had anxiety. I really had a lot of fear and worry all the time. And I remember my mom giving me this little worry stone as a kid, and I would rub it anytime I was worried about something or scared, and it never helped. And, I would go to my mom for help, but she had similar issues. And, she wasn't able to help me herself because she couldn't help herself. She didn't have the resources or tools to do so. And as I got older, the problem only got worse. When I became a teen, I had my first panic attack, and it just became a roller coaster for me, dealing with my emotional and mental health. And instead of focusing on that aspect, because I guess there was a little bit of a stigma, on mental and emotional health, I really focused on my physical well-being. So I was very active, always working out, and that was helpful, because of the endorphins that are released during workout. It really kept me calm and happy most of the time. But as I continued, into adulthood, I realized that I really needed to do something about that. After several other panic attacks, and, just a lot of struggles with my emotions, I realized that I needed to do something else. And I noticed it a lot in my students. So like you said, I was a teacher for almost 20 years, and I noticed that they were having a lot of, struggles every day, more crying and visits to the guidance counselor, and parents constantly asking me, like, what can I do to help? And unfortunately, it's not a quick fix. It's really, emotional and mental health is something you really have to focus on and be diligent about every day. So, I would offer tips, but I couldn't do more than that at that point. And I did do meditations with my kids, to just kind of help prep them for the day. And when I left teaching, I really decided that I wanted to get into the field of health and wellness. and I wasn't exactly sure the direction I was going into. And I thought that I would, pursue personal training because that's what I had always done. But I realized that I really needed to focus on mental and emotional health because of where I came from, because I struggled so much with it. And I learned meditation and some other techniques and practices. And then about 2 years ago, I was exposed to heart math. And I really just started to practice it for my personal use. And then all of a sudden it turned into a business for me. And, while I was trying to find my niche, who was I going to work with? It was kind of clear all along that I should work with kids. So I started classes for kids, building resilience classes for kids. That's a 5-week program. But I also realized that parents really need help because, like my mom, there are a lot of parents out there who don't know how to self-regulate their emotions. They don't know how to keep their calm. And everyone is so stressed and overwhelmed that really affects the well-being of the people around you as well. So I decided that I was going to create an 8-week program where I'm going to work with kids and parents together. Now it's still in the beginning phases, but that's my ultimate goal, to work with kids and parents so that they don't have to be like I was when I was a kid. And my mom felt helpless, and I struggled. So I hope that by working with parents and kids that I can really help them to grow together and support one another in their emotional and mental health.
That's awesome. I love this. I love this. I love this because I'm telling you, I'm 30 at the time we're recording this. I'm 30 weeks into doing this podcast, and I've done about 35 interviews. And I can't tell you, like, in this 30 weeks, how often I get the questions about, how do I help my children with this? Because they'll listen to episodes and be like, oh, but I'm seeing this already in my child, but people don't have the tools and they don't know how to take what they're learning to possibly apply to themselves, but actually also integrate it into their parenting styles. And it's starting to come up, but I definitely know that there's been so many people that are so interested in. And, I see so many people that go through their own healing journey and come out and develop a program and become a coach to help other adults heal. But to find somebody like yourself who now is integrating it with children and then bringing the children and parents together is so awesome and so needed.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even have kids and I'm stoked. I really am. I think there's a really big need for it. And it's funny because as you were talking about the 5-week program and then kind of explained what you're also seeing with the parents, because how adults are also, they often also struggle with regulating emotions because they didn't have the same access. They didn't have parents, like conscious parents at the time, that were able to help teach them these skills as a child. And so they only know what they know. And it's funny because I thought you were going to say you created a program for adults, but then I was literally going to ask you, oh, have you ever considered doing one with them together? So this is awesome. Yeah. And so you're saying it's in the very new stages. Is it something you're already offering, or you're still kind of refining and tweaking and figuring out?
I'm actually going to start a beta program within the next month or so. So I did create the program, but I definitely want to get a feel for parents and see if it really addresses all their needs. So I'm going to be putting that out. So it will include the kids, but I just want to get a better idea of if I'm serving the parents correctly.
Awesome. And is this going to be an online program or an in-person?
It will. Online. Yep.
Online.
So I'll offer a digital component for the parents, and then there will be group coaching for parents and kids weekly.
Awesome. That is so cool. I think that's so special. I don't know if you've ever even heard of this, but like sometimes have you heard of like parents, like say a daughter and a mother going to actually like counseling together to help mend their relationships?
I have heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is brilliant because this is actually just helping parents have the tools to help their kids have the tools. And I think this in and of itself will create a bond that then down the road, as the child is older, they wouldn't even need something like that. Would be the goal, as like a preventative measure.
Yeah, well, parents, they want to help their kids and they have such good intention, but it definitely has to start with you first.
Mm-hmm.
And if parents can control their energy and their emotions, then they can positively affect their kids. A lot of times I hear parents say, my kid's behavior is out of control, and it really just it increases their stress levels, right? And their inability to self-regulate. So my goal is to switch it around to help parents positively affect their kids instead of their kids negatively affecting them.
Mm-hmm. Which is proactive.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. This is huge. And I would love for you to kind of just go into a little bit about what this 5-week building resistance class is for the kids.
Okay. So in this 5-week program, we first start out by creating some emotional awareness. So a lot of times kids aren't really aware of the different emotions that they're feeling. So we help to put names to those emotions, and whether they're renewing or depleting, because I don't like saying positive or negative. Emotions all serve a purpose. So I like to use the words renewing emotions because those are emotions that help to better us and improve our health. And those depleting emotions are the emotions that really can drain us and make us feel overwhelmed, stressed, and, inhibit our ability to think clearly. So we work on emotional awareness and what those emotions feel like in our body, and put words to them. We identify triggers, things that cause them to feel frustrated, angry, upset, as well as things that make them feel proud and happy, accomplished, enthusiastic. And then from there, we learn techniques. So I teach them heart focused breathing and the quick coherence technique. And we talk about how they can be applied into their life. I come up with a plan with them where they decide how they can implement it throughout the day, based on their own personal experience of, things that bother them. So sometimes some kids, they're more stressed about school, where other kids are more stressed about, friends and that kind of drama. So I teach them techniques and how to implement them. And we focus on a long-term goal on, sustaining it as well, because that's really when great things happen, when the kids are able to sustain their coherence and make it a regular practice when they don't need it, because then that builds their resilience. So they're able to perform better in school, have more patience, be less stressed, have better communication skills, better relationships. So it's a 5-week program, and we talk about those different areas. They have homework that they have to work on, because I do want to hold them accountable and make sure they're doing things at home. And then in addition to that, I offer a parent session during that 5-week time. So that way the parents are aware of what we're working on and how they can help their kids through the process.
Yeah, that's so important. So I remember what I was going to say, but it totally ties into this, which is just, it's like the classic, saying that your children aren't going to become what you say. They're going to become what you be, like who you be. They're literally sponges, and they're watching and observing everything that you're doing. So
Yeah.
you can tell them to be one way, but if you're a totally different way, they're going to take that energy on.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. So our energy affects everyone, not just ourselves. And our heart, every time it pulses, it gives off this electromagnetic field that can be felt around our body. And most research says it's about 3 feet outside our body. Some say more. And within that field, our emotions are carried in that. So when parents are feeling stressed and overwhelmed by their kids can literally feel those emotions. And it's hard not to match someone's emotions. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed by you, guess what? I'm going to return those emotions to you. And just the opposite, if I'm feeling calm and peaceful, then I'm able to match that emotion better. So that's super helpful for parents. If they even though they're frustrated, if they can get to a place where they can turn down the volume a little bit of those feelings, they can really help their kids. So like when their kids are overwhelmed and stressed out about something, by them becoming frantic and kind of absorbing the kids' emotions, they're only just feeding off one another.
Yeah, it's like a vicious circle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's so important because a lot of times parents will be like, oh, my kid's this, my kid's that, or this. And I'm like, well, I think that they're generally just projecting what they're feeling. So it's really just a mirror to look within.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's awesome that you have the one parent session for sure. Cause it's kind of like, it reminds me of, obviously kids and dogs are different, but there's overlap in the sense if you ever had like a puppy or a dog that's misbehaving and you take them to like a corrective type of school, every dog trainer says, hey, you're the one who actually needs to be trained because the dog is actually just like responding to your energy. So I can teach the dog how to behave for me, but if they go back home into the same environment and you still put off the same nervous energy, they're going to feed off that.
100%.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming that this 5-week building resilience class is also online.
It is. Yes.
Okay. And what's the age range?
So from 9 to 14, but I like to group like ages 9 through 11 together and then like 12 through 14 together.
Okay. 9. And then what, in your opinion, is old enough? Like, when do you feel a child is old enough where you can start helping them with stuff like this, with emotional regulation? Like, do you feel a 4-year-old, there's tools that a parent can access and use to help a child that early on? Or do you feel like it is something that comes later in their, in their life?
No, absolutely. I mean, you could definitely work with kids at 4 years old. And matter of fact, HeartMath offers a program that they actually offer for free right now. And it's for younger kids. So, I mean, if parents just go to heartmath.org, they can put their email address in and access this program for free. And it's catered towards little kids. So like 4 through 6 year olds. And it just, again, it works on emotional awareness. It teaches them the tools, but just in a different way that's, more that's friendlier for little kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that is awesome. Because I know that's another thing that comes up because, you get those kids in that 4 to 6 year old range that might be, having like certain expressions of emotional dysregulation. And so it's like, I think it is important. How do we help them? What can we do that helps them understand? So I'm super excited. HeartMath is offering this for free. Is there any specific, do you know what it's called or what somebody should look up when they get to the website?
I believe it's still on the homepage, but it's called the Heart Smarts Adventures. So they're trying to, oh gosh, is it 100,000 kids they're trying to reach?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love HeartMath. I really do. Maybe everyone does. Maybe some people listening don't actually even know what HeartMath is. So do you think we could kind of transition for just a moment and go over a little bit about what HeartMath is and what kind of training certification you have with them and what that means?
Okay, sure. Sounds good. So HeartMath is so multifaceted and it's versatile. And I get so excited about it because it really can be applied into every and any career or aspect of your life. So the benefits are just so vast, which is amazing. But I will say that HeartMath supports the well-being of individuals as they try to navigate through like the challenges and adversities of their life. And using the tools and techniques, they're able to self-regulate their emotions, improve resilience, build coherence. And then in addition to that, it changes your physiology. It helps to bring your mental, emotional, and physical systems all into this nice balanced alignment by accessing the heart's intuitive guidance. So by accessing the wisdom of the heart, it really opens up so many benefits for people. And it's only now that I've been practicing it for, a little bit of time that I really see how it's changed my life in so many aspects. I mean, it can improve your relationships. It helps you to make better decisions, think with more clarity, have more patience, and have access to your intuition. And the reason why it does that is because most people don't realize that your heart actually runs the show, right? We all think that the brain does, but your heart has its own heart brain, they call it, its own little neural network. And the heart sends more messages to the brain than the other way around. So if you can work on building your heart coherence, so that's what heart math techniques do. They help to build coherence. Then the messages that your heart is sending to your brain are more organized and coherent. So when that happens, you're able to think more with more clarity and have more focus and more patience. And it opens up the doorway for so many things. I mean, I just see that I make better decisions. I'm able to think more clearly. And I just have a better perspective on other people. Like I kind of can see where they're coming from, and that improves my relationships as well. People always think, yeah, heart math is great because it helps with stress. But when you limit your stress or you learn to manage your stress, you are just able to just open the doorway for so many great benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. I would love to hear your insight. This was all a really great explanation. And I love how you said that when the heart is sending a more coherent message to the
Mhm.
brain and more organized messages, but do you have like just in a nutshell, if someone's like, oh, okay, but what is coherence? Like, what does heart coherence actually mean? Do you have like a simple way of explaining what it actually means?
um, it's when you are functioning optimally. When you are coherent, you are functioning optimally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like for me, like things just kind of like you can like slow things down a little bit. It helps you to be more present so that you can see everything around you with more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. And
Okay.
this can be achieved literally through breathing.
Yeah. So breathing is the foundational step, and that's called heart focused breathing, which is super important. Like I said, it's the foundational step. However, to achieve higher levels of coherence, it's really about activating a regenerative feeling. So, anything that you feel that's beautiful and renewing. So it can be feeling joy, peace, enthusiasm, care, or compassion for someone. Any of those feelings that renew your body. And when I say that, I mean those emotions send what do you call it? DHEA. I was thinking of the name. The vitality hormone. It releases that. So whenever you feel those renewing emotions, your body releases that hormone. So that hormone is renewing and regenerating and helps you in so many aspects. And on the opposite end of that, when you're feeling those depleting emotions like stress, overwhelm, fatigue, anger, your body releases cortisol. And everyone knows that as a stress hormone. And the problem with that is when you are stressed and overwhelmed, your body releases it, but then the effects last longer. So you're literally like hurting your body and creating dis-ease in your body whenever you are in a stressful place. And let's be real, I mean, that happens often for most people. I would say most of the time they're feeling stressed and overwhelmed throughout the day. So it's super important that we create opportunities through heart math to feel these renewing feelings so that our body is not in this constant state of stress.
Right. Yeah. And what's really great is that you can achieve this coherence usually rather quickly. It doesn't, a lot of people say, oh, but I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. But I mean, my understanding is we can, the more we practice too, and the more efficient and better we become with this, we can achieve this in very short amounts of time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has time for this. One, because it can be used on the go. So you can literally do this while you're driving in the car with your eyes open. You can do this while you're sitting at your desk. So there is like no excuse not to practice. And HeartMath says 3 minutes a day. That's all it takes, is 3 minutes a day. But there's definitely different ways to utilize the techniques. And that is prepping, shifting, and sustaining. So you can prepare for situations and be proactive so that you can help with managing your stress levels. So maybe you have a meeting that is going to be stressful and overwhelming. You can prep for that meeting and help to prevent some of that that stress and overwhelm. And then you can also use it if you've encountered some kind of stressful event, and you can reset from it. And then the third is the sustaining, and that's really when I think you see the most benefit. That's when you practice when you don't even need it. So if you wake up in the morning and you practice 3 minutes, chances are you're not really stressed out when you wake up, and you practice. That helps to kind of build your resilience so that when things come your way, you're able to handle it with more ease. And it helps you to like flow with more ease and grace throughout your day.
Okay. So what if there was somebody who literally said, okay, I can only start with a 3-minute commitment a day, then that's what I'm going to do because I want to, accomplish this. I want to actually create a win and feel like I'm achieving it. Mm-hmm. Would you recommend, or does HeartMath recommend, if you were only going to do, say, 1 3-minute session a day, or even 3 1-minute sessions, which area would you recommend them focusing on? Would you say to utilize it as a reset, or to just wake up every morning and do it to sustain?
That is tough. So I would say if you have 3 minutes and you're going to do it in one sitting, I would do it right as soon as you wake up in the morning, because that's it's sustaining, but it's also kind of prepping for the day. You can look at it as both ways. Mm-hmm. But if they're going to practice, 1 minute at a time, I would say do it throughout the day. And what's great about it is if you attach it to a habit you already have, it makes it so much more feasible to accomplish it. So like I am constantly drinking water throughout the day. So every time I grab some water, I just take a minute to do some heart focused breathing. And it could be as simple as that. Every time you check your email, practice some heart focused breathing while you're doing it.
And that's, can you explain what that is for anyone listening?
Yeah. So actually I would love to walk your audience through a technique at some point, but heart focused breathing is the first step in all the HeartMath techniques. So it's the foundational step, and it's one, to focus your attention in the area of your heart. And that does one thing. It helps to get get yourself out of your mind and into your heart. Because like when we're in our thoughts, we just kind of get consumed by them, and we like get on this hamster wheel. So it kind of diverts our attention to, focus in a different area. So you focus on your heart, and then you breathe slower and deeper than you normally would. And that changes your physiology a little bit, because when you're breathing slower and deeper, you're letting your body know that you're safe. Because if you were stressed out and in that fight or flight mode, your heart rate would be racing, right? And you would probably be breathing heavily. So you're kind of just tricking your mind into thinking, I'm safe, I'm okay. Like I can renew myself right now. I can be in this calm, peaceful place. So that's heart focused breathing. And that's the first step. And then if you want to do quick coherence technique, it's just adding on one step. And that is activating that renewing feeling. And what's important about that is to really think of something specific or someone specific that could really evoke that feeling for you. So pets are a great example because they're so loving and they love you unconditionally. They really don't give you any problems. So pets are a really good way to react to activate that emotion. But like, maybe it's, when you got married, walking down the aisle, that feeling you had. It's what's important is to re-experience it. So it's okay if it starts out as a thought, but then it's moving it to your heart so that you can really feel that emotion. And what's powerful about it is that we all have control over our emotions. Like, we don't have to wait for something in our external world to make us feel happy or at peace. We have the power to evoke those feelings ourselves. And that's just super empowering to me, knowing that I don't have to let my circumstances and challenges that, in my life really dictate how I feel moment to moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is so true. Something that I always say is that, when heavy things happen and life happens and it's heavy and it's hard, it's okay to be human and to have the human experiences and to feel the human feelings. But
Mm-hmm.
in that, our superpower is also to know that we have the choice to not only allow ourselves the time and space to feel, but then to choose something different, to choose to step into another emotion. I think Dr. Joe says to think greater than you feel, making that conscious choice. Like, hey, if this thing happened and it warrants me feeling sad, that's okay. I get to acknowledge and honor those feelings, but I also have this beautiful superpower to like make this choice to sit down and in some way, whether it's through a visualization or a heart math techniques, to actually bring myself into another emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Dr. Joe. He's one of
Me
my
too.
favorites.
Yeah. And it can be even for moments at a time. It's not saying, hey, you know what, this terrible thing just happened and I know you're sad, but you need to go make yourself feel happy all day long. It's like, no, feel the feelings, but then, hey, at some point, give yourself this gift and like allow yourself to tap into that power and allow yourself to step into and rise into another emotion, through a physiological experience to help, it helps heal, it helps you shift and shift the direction of your life so that you're creating something new in your future.
Yeah, it's really important that you said that. First of all, I love that you said it's a gift because that's so beautiful. It really is. You can give yourself that gift every day throughout the day. But our emotions give us depth of character and they're super important and they, propel us to do great things at times. So being genuine is super important to me. And I'm not asking anyone to, be, if you're feeling angry, like, it's okay to be angry for that moment or even an hour. But what's not okay is when you linger in that emotion for the whole day or for days or for weeks, because then you're only hurting yourself. You're not serving, that anger is not serving you. So if you're angry, I know it's not an easy thing to, to shift to feeling joy. And like I said, I wouldn't want people to, but at the very least, they can practice heart focused breathing. And that heart focused breathing is going to just kind of turn down the volume of whatever is going on and help them to work towards getting to a place where they say, okay, I'm ready to move on from this emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if there's something going on, you can be ready to go into problem solving mode or
Mm-hmm.
like, shifting your experience of something or having a new perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you said heart focused breathing is the first foundational step. And then we can go into coherence, quick coherence technique, which is just as a reminder, I'm just going to kind of repeat this for the listeners.
Okay.
It might start as a thought of an experience or a situation or a pet or something that will elicit a positive or
Mm-hmm.
a renewing emotion. And so in the quick coherence, the idea is it might start as a thought, but the idea behind it is to actually feel the emotion
Absolutely.
in your body. And then what would be So I guess I have a couple questions for anyone who wants to try these. Like with the quick coherence, it says quick, but how long would be an optimal time or time frame that somebody could spend in that experience, in that using that tool at any given moment? Or what would be like, okay, well, you did this much time and you don't really need to continue. Like, how would they know when it felt complete if they didn't have to, like, say, set a timer and do it in a specific time frame?
Yeah. So, like you said, the quick coherence technique is meant to be quick. It's meant to be used on the go when you are not feeling your best and you want to shift to that state. So usually, within a minute, you can probably get there. But at first, that might be a little challenging for people. This is generally something that's odd, or like out of their norm. So it will take time. They might not be able to get to that coherent state within a minute. So it's definitely okay if they practice the technique for a minute or two or three. And then if they're using it more to sustain, they can just kind of sit with those feelings a little bit longer, keeping the breathing up and the focusing on the heart, and just sit with those feelings for a prolonged period of time. And when you do that, it kind of becomes like a little bit of a meditation. Mm-hmm. But everyone accesses coherence differently. I know because I've become like aware of how I feel. So I experience almost like my heart smiling. It feels bright and full. Like I have this this lightness about me. Sometimes I'll get a smile on my face. I've seen people tear up, not because they're sad, but because they've realized the power in the technique, that they can experience these beautiful emotions when they want to, that they have the ability to access it. So I've seen a little bit of all those things, but when I'm in a coherent state, I just feel so like calm and at peace, and not relaxed, because that's a little different. It's not like, when you get a massage, you're very relaxed and you just want to like take a nap. This is a very alert state. You're just in a very peaceful place. And a lot of times when I get to that point, I could just kind of sit there all day because it's such a good, overwhelming, nice feeling.
So what if people are using the quick coherence and they're kind of doing that and finding themselves in a little bit of that meditative state that you're talking about, but they want to take like the next step? What would the next step be?
It really depends on what their goals are. So the heart lock-in, that is another technique that kind of, it's taking the quick coherence to another step where you're sustaining coherence for a longer period of time, for like 15 to 20 minutes. And when you're doing that, then you're really building up your resilience. So they can definitely do that. It depends on how what they're trying to accomplish. So that's what I do when I work with my clients. I use the techniques to cater to what their goals are and fit them into their lifestyle. But at the very least, people can just practice quick coherence for a few minutes every day and heart focused breathing throughout the day. And that would be super helpful.
Mm-hmm. And you feel like really confident that over time people would notice a difference.
Yeah. And you'll notice people will start saying to you, like, they'll just start noticing that you're reacting differently or you're just a little bit calmer. And, you'll start noticing things, like I just noticed that certain things don't trigger me anymore. Like I was like, I'm like, oh, I would have reacted a little bit differently. Like I might have, argued with my husband after him making a comment like he did, in the past. But now I just see things more clearly. It just kind of puts a pause on the drama and what's going on. And all within just like, a few seconds, you're just kind of able to just see with more clarity. And it's hard to explain, but you kind of know when it happens. I always explain it like the Matrix, in that movie, The Matrix, everything just kind of like slows down and, they can see like the bullet coming at them. That's just kind of how heart math is. It really puts a pause in the drama and slows things down a little bit so that you can get a better idea and picture of what is like really going on.
I like that explanation. So, there's a great tool out there. I know you know all about it. Maybe you could explain to people a little bit about how, because like there's probably somebody listening that might think, oh, she explains it as like she just kind of feels like her heart's happy, but this is new to me. I don't really know I don't know if I'm actually in coherence or what that would feel like. Well, we have the inner balance tool. Could you explain a little bit about how somebody out there might be interested in the inner balance to help initially support their ability to discover what coherence feels like?
Yes, the inner balance is awesome. So you can use it with your phone. It's an app, and it's a small device that's you clip to your ear, and it checks your pulse. And what it does is it checks your heart rate variability. So every time your heart beats, it doesn't beat on a consistent basis. It, maybe one beat might be 70, another one might be 85, and it's constantly doing that. So when we go to the doctor and they give us, oh, your pulse is this, that's just an average. So this monitors your heart rate variability, and it actually tracks your coherence. So there's a section where there is a red, there's like a red band, a green, a blue, and a green. And that lets you know whether you're in low, medium, or high coherence. And it's awesome because seeing is believing. And I've played with the technology extensively, because when I first got it, I'm like, this seems, so simple. Like, how is this really checking my coherence? And it does. It definitely does. So, you start out, and usually you start out in the red or the blue, and you can see that once you're in coherence, the little graph will go up into the green area. So I like that because then you know what you're doing is effective. You're like, okay, this is working for me. So once you get into the green area, I recommend like really taking notice to how you feel when you're there. So that way when you're in coherence, and you don't really need to rely on the tool. You have that knowing because you know how it feels when you're coherent. So this device is awesome, and it kind of holds you accountable. So like you can practice for however long you want, and it saves your sessions, and you can compare over time. You can see what your baseline was when you first started out, and you can see the progress and how you've improved over the course of, a week, a month, a year. And another great part of that is that you can keep a journal. So, I like to just annotate a little bit and write some information down. Like, today was a little hard for me to get into coherence because of this situation that happened this morning, or I felt really good today. And, I felt like my heart was full and I felt very peaceful. And, so you can make little notes in there, which I love. So you can kind of see the progression and, where you're going. So that's definitely something you can use every day. And it's really simple and easy to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have one and I really like it. For all the same reasons you said, just to help initially understand what coherence felt like. And something I thought was really fascinating was it's funny because say if like I'm sitting there breathing, trying to do the coherence, and then say my mind wanders to some type of other thought that might lead to as you would say, depleting emotion or feeling. Mm-hmm. When I go back and I look at the little fun graph of it moving up and down, mm-hmm. I can literally pinpoint exactly where my mind wandered. Yeah. You get that drop down back to the red and you're like, oh, and it's so interesting to just see, to like how you said, seeing is believing. So to have this tool that actually helps you see the physiological effect that different thoughts have on us in each moment.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when I've played with it. Like I've done that purposely. I've tried to think of like something that would worry me, because that's really easy for everybody to do. I can easily be worried about something. So I would do that and I would see the drop And then I wouldn't practice the technique. And then I would practice the technique, and I would see, the little line jump up into the green again. And I would do that. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive that within a few seconds, it can register that new emotion.
Yeah. 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 And I wanted to also point out for anyone listening who's intrigued by this little device, what's I think is also really cool is that they now have that other app, that global app where you can log into the global app and get into coherence in groups with other people throughout the whole wide world that are in that same moment also trying to achieve coherence. And, they always say that that energy is not confined by, time and space, and where two or more gather, it's always more powerful. So I think that's a really cool feature.
Yeah, I love the Global Coherence app. Absolutely. And it's nice because sometimes they do it with an intention, whether it's something going on in the world, and we can really send heart to those people and those issues that we're having and really positively affect it. I know a lot of times we feel helpless, when things are going on and they're out of our control, but just by getting into coherence, you're able to spread those, that coherence and those renewing feelings to other people around you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. Energy definitely transfers to, like you said, it's not just us, it affects everybody and everything.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you for explaining all that. I feel like it really helps anyone listening who might be new to this, to all these topics.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Speaking of just like heart math tools, the techniques, but then I want to kind of shift back and pivot back into kind of children and the parenting and how parents can support children. If there's anyone out there listening who maybe just right now is not the right time for them to be able to do, the 5 weeks with their children, or and they're not sure where to begin or what they could do themselves, like what could they do? Like, do you have any advice on what a parent could possibly do to start helping their children to achieve coherence, to emotionally regulate, and just any kind of insight or advice for people listening?
Yeah, so I would say that they first need to work on their calm. So work on self-regulating. Parents need to work on self-regulating their emotions, and then teach the techniques to their kids. So that way, when their kids are upset, frustrated, practice the technique with them in that moment. And if I could share a quick story, this was a really awesome experience that I had in a classroom. It was a temporary position, and I wasn't there very long, but it was a 5th grade class, and one of the girls walked in, and she was obviously upset, and she was crying, and she had probably been crying a while. Her face was all red, her eyes were all red, and she walked in, and I said, do you want to go get a drink, go for a walk? And she said no. And I said, would you like to go see the guidance counselor? And she said to me, no, just please leave me alone. And one, because I'm in a more coherent place. Like, it didn't upset me that she said that. I think normally we would get upset by that, right? Someone saying, just leave me alone. But I understood that she was upset, and, I wanted to respect her and her feelings in that moment. So I did leave her alone. And, throughout the lesson, she was still upset, and we were doing something new that day. And I knew that she wasn't learning anything, because it's virtually impossible to learn something when you are in that incoherent state. It's like there's a roadblock and you cannot access your thinking brain. So I said to her, I got down so that we were eye level. And I said, I get upset too sometimes. And when I get upset, I practice this breathing technique. And I said, although it might not take away the feelings completely, it definitely makes me feel better. And I said, would you mind if I showed it to you? And she actually said yes. So we went to, the back table, the little reading table, and we just did some heart focused breathing together for maybe it was like 2 minutes, but I practice it with her, which I think is super important. And after we were done, I said, thank you for doing this with me. And after that, she was just calmer. She stopped crying, and she was probably still upset, but she was calmer, and she was able to participate. And it was super empowering just seeing that simple technique and just practicing with her can have such an impact on someone's life. So parents have the ability to do that too with their kids. And the more they can model for them that, the techniques are helpful and that it can help them, and do it with them, I think that just the benefits will be endless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what, I know we kind of already talked a little bit about age, but like how young is too young for a parent to like try to walk their child through a like heart coherence technique with them, like to do it with them?
Yeah, I would say probably around 4 is a good age to, even just to do the heart focused breathing. There's some techniques that are more catered towards kids, like there's the heart warmer technique, and it's the same concept, just more kid friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in that Heart Smarts Adventure program.
Okay.
So parents can definitely access that.
I wonder if like a parent was going to do something like that with like a little child, would it be beneficial for the parent to like say, all right, we're going to lay down together and mommy's going to put her hand on your heart, and do you think that would help them to, and then they could say to like breathe into my hand or breathe into mommy's hand or something?
So the heart warmer technique is more of, it's still them putting their hand on their heart, and it's still breathing slower and deeper, but they're picturing the warmth of the sun, like kind of warming their heart and warming their body.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good one that they can do together, and the kid can practice, on their own.
Awesome. It sounds like something I do all the time, using the sun. I think there's a lot of really great free resources too on HeartMath in general, isn't there? That people, if they're interested in all this and they don't really know where to start, they could just, maybe if I include a link in the show notes, that'd be a really great place to kind of start getting some more insight into HeartMath and the techniques and what it all entails and what's possible.
Yeah. So heartmath.org is their nonprofit.
Okay.
So heartmath.com is where you can buy products and services. But heartmath.org is their nonprofit. So there's a lot of free resources, and you can actually become a member. If you want to make a donation, you can, but you don't have to. And you'll get access to, they have tons of like ebooks and articles and some videos that you can, just increase your knowledge on HeartMath and practice the techniques and learn a little bit more about them. So there's tons of information there for people.
Awesome. And as far as for your coaching, we already kind of went over the 5-week kids program. You're starting this beta program for 8 weeks for the kids and adults together. Do you also do private coaching, or do you pretty much stick with these group themes?
No, I do individual coaching as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be for parents and children.
Yes. So I do have a program specifically for kids, and then one for parents as well. But then, obviously, because the techniques are so versatile, I'll work with anybody who needs the help. But, my focus is, their parents and kids, because I'm an educator, and I really just see the need for it. And because of where I came from, I know how I struggled, and I don't want kids to have to do that same thing. I want to equip them with the tools and strategies they need so that they can be successful in life. So when those hard times hit, because they will, there's always going to be something stressful or challenging in life. So we need to learn how to overcome it and how to rise above it.
Yeah. It's being proactive for sure. And I have to say, I would have loved to have these tools when I was a child. And knowing my personality type, I would have used them, But yeah, and it's no one's fault. It's not parents' fault. We all just do the best we can with the knowledge we have. But I definitely would have loved to have some tools to help navigate those hard times as a child and not have to carry that all the way into adulthood and then have to try to, pivot, shift, and basically undo, all those years spent
Yes,
with
exactly.
the pain, the dis-ease, the anxieties, and all that stuff that comes along.
Absolutely.
If people are really drawn to this this message and are really interested, in connecting with you because maybe they're really intrigued by this 5-week program or the 8-week program or even one-on-one, how can they connect with you?
So they can email me, laura@inspiringessentialwellness.com. And then they can also book a discovery call if they want through my website, which is inspiringessentialwellness.com. And that way I could get to know them and, see what their needs are and see how I can help them. And if I can't, maybe I can refer them to someone who can.
Okay. Do you do any social media?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sorry. I always forgot about that. Yes, I am on Instagram. My handle is Laura_inspiring wellness. And I'm always just putting tips on there. And, I do techniques with people. So you can check it out. The techniques are up there, heart focused breathing and the quick coherence technique. So you can certainly, just watch the video and practice along with me. And then I'm also on Facebook, and that's just Inspiring Essential Wellness. So
Essential Wellness, you said?
yes.
Okay. And I definitely want to take advantage of your offer to to kind of walk everyone listening through a technique in a moment here, but I want to ask you one more question if that's
Sure.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. If you were here, not just in this moment now, but in the world, if you were here to spread one message with the world, what would that message be?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Just one?
So hard to pick one, right? Okay, you can have a couple.
I would have to say that I really believe truly from the bottom of my heart that love is the answer to everything. If you love yourself and you love others, you can find peace and beauty in every moment. So I would say by accessing love, you're just able to overcome anything.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's like one of those things that's like pieces of advice or wisdom that sounds so cliche, but it is so truly, like, it's just so true.
It is. I know.
So true.
And it really is. I mean, I could just see that if you just always come from a place of love, then you're always going to be doing what's best for yourself and what's best for others. And I often do that, when I'm going to make a decision or, maybe I'm a little angry about something and I'm always like, am I coming from a place of love by doing this or saying this? And if I can say no, then I know that's not the right thing to do.
That's a good little tip and trick.
Yeah.
And as a side note, heart math is a really great tool to help us come into that love.
Yeah.
To experience that love.
Yes, exactly. And people always ask me, like, heart math? Like, it has nothing to do with math, right? I'm like, no, it's about, their logo is a heart with a plus. So it's about adding heart to the world, which I see as adding love to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I love it. I never knew that. I always wondered why it was heart math. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to do a technique?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. So we'll do the quick coherence technique. So obviously if you're driving, please do this with your eyes open. But if you're in a comfortable spot, definitely put your feet firmly on the ground and sit nice and tall and upright and gently close your eyes. And you can place one hand or both hands on your heart, just applying a little bit of pressure to that area so you have a place to focus. And focus your attention in the area of your heart. And imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. And if your mind starts to wander, simply refocus your attention back to the area of your heart. And if it helps, you can think of your heart like a balloon. And as you breathe in, that balloon is filling up and expanding. And as you exhale, that balloon is shrinking back down. And now make a sincere attempt to activate a regenerative feeling such as care, compassion, or appreciation for someone or something in your life. And really try to re-experience that feeling. Don't just think it. And let's really anchor and hold on to that feeling for a few more seconds and sit with it. And let's take one more deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Yeah, so that's it. Just takes just a couple minutes to get to that coherent place.
And what people were looking for was to just, like you said, to actually really feel one of those renewing emotions.
Yeah, so it's really good for it to be specific. So I like to imagine when my husband comes home from work and we hug, because that's just like our ritual, you know, we give this like big hug, because I know there's some science behind like hugging for at least like 30 seconds or something.
Yes.
So, so you really, I guess you make that connection with someone after 30 seconds. So, yeah, so I imagine us like both hugging and just like our hearts connecting, and just makes me so happy, and it makes me smile every time. So that's like a really vivid, memorable experience for me. And because it's something we do every day, like it's always in my mind. So if people can really just think about, you know, just have maybe like 2 or 3 tools in their toolbox, memories that they can access, that they know that they can re-experience those emotions pretty quickly, that would be great.
Yeah, and they can reuse them over and over as long as they're still getting the feeling from it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, long hugs are super powerful. As a side note, one of my best friends and I, we make a habit of hugging for 30 seconds every time we hug. Just even if it's awkward, you know, we just do it because, yeah, you're producing, like, your body's literally producing more oxytocin and all the feel good, you know, it's just like running through you. So we're like, yeah, this is a great gift. We got to do this when we see each other.
Yeah. But if you try to do that with someone who's not accustomed to hugging for that long, it could definitely be a little awkward.
It can. I will say though that somehow this conversation came up at one of my jobs. And so me and a couple different people just made this commitment to just do it, no matter how awkward it felt, to just do it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it usually led to also laughter, which was like a double bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So I think everyone wins. Laura, do you have any final messages that you want to share, or maybe anything that I didn't get a chance to ask you that's heavy on your heart or important for you to share with anyone that might be listening?
I would just stress to people to just start, you know, and even if you think you're not doing it right, or you're a little bit unsure if it's going to work for you, just start and make a habit of doing it every day and give it a chance. Be consistent, because I promise the benefits are so worth it. It'll just really be like a magical, like life-changing experience for you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And then, like you already said, it doesn't take much. It's 3 minutes a day, and we can all make 3 minutes a day for our well-being.
Yeah.
We all deserve to make 3 minutes a day for our well-being.
Absolutely. And it's, you know, we talk about self-care, but self-care is not just getting pedicures and massages. It's taking care of yourself, your mental and emotional health, and making it a priority. Because if you do that for yourself, you really can change the world. You know, you can change the people around you and improve others' lives, you know, by improving yourself.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. So be the change. Yes, 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 yes. Well, this was fantastic. I think the listeners are going to learn so much from today. So I'm super excited. I've been using HeartMath as a tool for a while now and geeked out on their website, and still feel like I learned today. So that was really wonderful. And I want to just thank you for your time and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. And yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap. And as a heads up, I encourage you to check out Laura's website, where you can access a free recording of a heart coherence technique. And don't forget to explore ways that you can speak more kindly to yourself more often throughout the week. And until next time, make this week great.